Development and Regulation Amendment Bill 2015, and I start off by vehemently and strongly opposing this bill that is totally undemocratic and goes against the interests of all the states where mines are situated. Sir, as you know, Odisha is a minerally very rich state. No other state, probably what I guess, no other state will be as badly affected as Odisha would be by this draconian MMDR Act that has been brought forth by the NDA government. Sir, for the information of this House, Odisha has about a third of India's iron ore, half of bauxite, and nearly all of chromite reserves, and it has been able to explore only 13% in case of iron ore and chrome ore, while for bauxite the rate of exploitation has only been a meager 3%. I come from, my constituency is Dhenkanal and Angul. These are two districts where you find chrome, and on our borders you have iron ore too, because it borders Keonjhar. And we have a lot of mineral-based industries operating in these two districts. And I'm very sad to say and to admit that we have not been able to protect the interest of the people when miners and mining-based industries have moved into areas primarily dominated by tribals and the poor. They have managed to take away lands, they have managed to take away homestead land, agricultural land, and they have pushed our people into complete penury, which one has to only see to believe it. While on one hand they promise employment, it is a truth that everybody is aware that employment in mining is extremely scarce, and the negative impact as far as environment and health of the population goes, the index is extremely poor. While mine owners become super rich, and we have information that within a period commencing from 2001 till 2010, in between the Beijing Olympics took place, miners from certain northern states of India who have been operating in Odisha amassed. These are like individuals or small families. I do not wish to take their names, but small families and individuals, they have amassed wealth which goes up to something like 70,000 crores. And these are individuals, sir. And the amazing fact is, all of us are aware that all this wealth that has gone to individuals actually belongs to the nation, actually belongs to those very poor people who do not have homes, who do not even have drinking water or basic medical care available to them. And while working in this kind of an atmosphere, we see this government in a tearing hurry and promulgating ordinance after ordinance. I would not like to utter more about ordinance because few of our honorable leaders in this House have already spoken enough about ordinances and how wrong that path is in the democratic process of any parliamentary democracy. This bill deals with auction of mines, which anyway are not going to happen anytime in the near future. So there was no real hurry for this ordinance. This bill mandates proven mineralization before putting the mines up for auction. But what I understand from my state government's mining department is that these provisions will prove detrimental, as government says that they would not be able to have auctions for the next 2 to 3 years just to prove the mineralization of the mines. While I very clearly understand and support the need for auctions, where we have seen how coal and spectrum, which were not auctioned but were apportioned off and given away to favorites by the earlier government, and for which they have had to change the sides. Now this government is probably planning that, like Robin Hood, steal from A and give it to B. So, sir, if we see this bill in the form of amendments that has been brought forward, they are not changing the whole bill, but they are changing portions of it. This bill is seemingly very motivated, and its intentions are definitely suspect. We would again insist that the auction process is a very good process and we support it. Yet, if seen in context with Section 9, the central government, it seems, has held on to all the powers and will describe all the parameters of the auction. This section says that the central government-controlled National Mineral Exploration Trust will be exploring new mining areas. If the central government will also dictate how the auctions are to be held, the state government eventually will become a mere lease approval authority or a simple rubber stamp, and they will take all the decisions. A bill that overhauls the entire framework of how we handle mines and minerals, which are vital natural and national resources, should have ideally gone through a fresh phase of negotiations and consultation with all the stakeholders, especially the state governments. Sadly, this government has failed to consult anybody, and it has not consulted my state government in Odisha, which is a prime stakeholder. They talk about, like our honorable colleague has said, they talk in big words. We are only hearing talk, sir. At a certain point of time, I had a problem with talk. There is always a talk about cooperative federalism, and we have a Prime Minister, an Honorable Prime Minister, who has been a former Chief Minister, a three-time Chief Minister, a commendable achievement. And we have seen the Gujarat model, which is a great thing that the nation is, they are all very happy with that, sir, and we commend it. Sir, the Chief Minister turned Prime Minister talks about cooperative federalism because as a Chief Minister, he has seen the predicaments. You have also been a Chief Minister, you have seen the predicaments. Doesn't matter, sir. The predicaments faced by a Chief Minister in running a state has to be understood by the central authorities, which, although speeches are galore, but in implementation, it has failed like no one can imagine. They are also saying that this lease extension has to be immediate, because otherwise steel industries and other mines-based industries would shut shop. But if that be the case, then there is no need, as our colleague from our senior colleague from the TMC said, there was no need to extend mines till 2020 or 2030 or for the next 50 years. You could have given a lease extension for 6 months, 1 year or 2 years and set a framework for the state governments to complete their base work, to have auctions within that particular period of time. Very right. The bigger question that comes to, I guess, to everybody's mind is the phrase of national interest. What does it imply, sir? National interest primarily has to consider the plight of the people getting directly affected by this legislation. Unless you deal with that first, then what could happen is the phrase national interest and public good, you will be putting them at loggerheads, and it would imply that if you opt for one, you neglect the other. That should not be the mindset by which the union government should function. I would also like to state that it is strange that while other countries are putting a cap on their mineral exploration, we in India are going all out with our mineral exploitation. Sir, you only said there will be enough time, sir, today. We surely are not the last generation of Indians. It is said people borrow their today from their children's tomorrow. So it is not incumbent upon us to take away every wealth hidden under the earth, given by Mother Earth, given by the Parameshwar to this country, to steal it, to rob it, and to give it over to a few individuals who are handpicked. What prompts you to safeguard the interest of some families and in certain cases even individuals, albeit filthy rich, that have amassed huge fortunes simply by mining natural reserves that belong to the nation is not difficult to imagine. These people have purposefully neglected, oppressed, and overlooked local communities and the environmental issues that have also not been addressed in this piece of legislation. Sir, I will give you one example, sir. There are 18 mines which are pending renewal in Odisha alone. And this is stuck in some judicial procedures, and auctioning them, if the Odisha government could auction them, the state exchequer on a conservative note could get something more than 5,000 crores this year. These funds can be utilized to fulfill the pressing needs of my state, like drinking water and building pakka houses for the people. As far as I know, our Chief Minister, Mr. Naveen Patnaik, is probably the only Chief Minister who has been arguing right from the beginning that mines should be auctioned instead of increasing their lease period. On 8th February at the Niti Aayog meeting, our CM urged the centre not to extend validity of mining leases which have completed 50 years. Sir, half a century to one individual or one individual family. This is what we have done with this country. A 50-year new lease or extension is only benefiting a handful of miners who are already super rich and are high income taxpayers. Those who have mines for 50 years should share at least 30% of their profit with the state. This is a demand I am making which should be part of the bill. That is surely a fair thing to ask for, keeping the interest of the local populace in mind. Central government should rather ask mine owners to share profits with the state.
Okay.
Sir, no sir, I will have time, sir. Thank you, sir. The bill does not cover anything on the issue of imposing cess. Or should we presume that there is no change? Sir, cess or the right to levy mineral rights cess is something that has devolved, that has gone to the state government. Are you leaving it untouched? Because under the 7th schedule of the state subject list of the Constitution, states are empowered to impose a cess and surcharge on mineral rights subject to any limitations imposed by Parliament by law relating to mineral development. I would like to seek a clarification from the government if there is any change in this regard, as Odisha has various minerals contributing to the revenue of the state in the form of cess and royalties like chromite, iron ore, manganese and bauxite. An assurance would be welcome from the minister in this regard. The central government also says that it can increase permitted area for mining if it so requires. So that means, sir, you are not giving a level playing field. One person can also be given 1,000 hectares to prospect and to start mining. And the bill says that this can be done in the interest of the development of any mineral or industry. Why include industry? Is this captive mines or merchant mines that we are talking about? There is no clarity in that. There is, in this bill, a dangerous clause that says that if the state government does not convey its approval for transfer of mining leases within a period of 90 days, it shall be considered that the state government has no objection to such transfer. On the contrary, such clauses should rather read as that if state governments do not adhere to the time limit set in the bill, it should naturally mean that there is an objection to such transfer. The good things, sir, there are a few, very small, but there are a few good things which also must be mentioned in the passing. The good thing about the bill, and the only good thing, unfortunately, is that the original 1957 Act did not give any time limit for clearing applications. This bill, in Clause 4, promotes efficiency by making it time-bound. This is appreciated. However, since the onus of clearing the application is on the states, timely non-compliance must indicate rejection and definitely not acceptance. Sir, they have floated a National Mineral Exploration Trust. I do not know what is the motive behind this trust. If they want to collect 2% cess from the miners, that means apart from paying cess and royalties to the state government, the miners have to come to their doorstep to have some sort of a negotiation with the union government. No, sir, I need 2 more minutes, sir.
Please wind up.
Sir, I will. Sir, the miners have to come to Delhi and fall at their feet to pay their 2% tax. Sir, instead the National Mineral Exploration Trust could be made into a company, a not-for-profit government company. The 2% tax that they expect from the miners should be given to the state government, which can collect the 2% from all the miners, deposit it in the company. The state government will have a director in this company not below the rank of a director of mines, and the share of the state government will be this 2%, which can be considered by the government. Coming back to problems, this House should be amused to note, sir, that in this country, amongst the top 10 income tax payers, 3 are from the district of Keonjhar alone. They are the top 3. These people, sir, are not locals. They have no industry, no other business except a few mines in Keonjhar. And they are the biggest taxpayers in this country. Their advance tax, one individual's advance tax in 2010-11 was 50 lakhs and total demand was 50 crores and total demand was 90 crores. Sir, Keonjhar is primarily a tribal-dominated district. It has no roads, it has no drinking water, and it is probably one of the most backward districts of the state. And yet you have this anachronism, this difference, that some of the highest taxpayers are from that area. Sir, ours is the only state, I wish to reiterate, which is opposing the extension of the lease, while states like Goa renewed 88 mining leases before the ordinance came into effect on January 12 this year. So they must have had prior information. By promulgating this MMDR ordinance, the union government has crippled the state government's efforts to cancel these licenses, resulting in a huge revenue loss to the state. Sir, at the end, to wind up, this bill has a lot of loopholes and ambiguities. I am winding up, sir. Ambiguities which need to be straightened out. The fact that this government chose to introduce this bill as an ordinance first, then bring it to the parliament, also speaks of how much this government believes in. Sir, I'm finished. Cooperative federalism. Just devolution of funds to states does not indicate that you are adhering to federalism in its true spirit. When we are looking at center-state relationship, we should look at local issues and larger issues of national interest separately. When it involves consultation with local communities, issues should be left to the states. This bill does not do that. Therefore, I strongly oppose this bill. Thank you.
खान और खनिज संशोधन विधेयक 2015.
7 minutes, please. Right. Very brief.